do it every year. It's like, oh, this team got beat here, so they didn't deserve X, Y, Z.
We deserve to be ranked higher, and we want some respect.
I would love to antagonize people and egg some people on and see what kind of chaos we can have in the stands.
Woo! FCS Fans Nation. That is way too loud. That's okay. We'll see how it sounds. Welcome to the FCS Fans Nation podcast. Big sound, big intro for a big week because we have a big matchup coming up in the FCS season. We hope you enjoyed week one, and we're rolling into week two here at the FCS Fans Nation podcast. The three OGs, Jamie Williams, Kyler Neal, and Matt Frazee, coming through your airways. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to break it down. If you are a fan of the big squads, of the big conferences, there is plenty to talk about in all those departments. And that's exactly what our fans gave us this week. And we're excited to get into it. Can we all admit that Kyler is famous? Is the first question, and it's not even in the top six. That comes directly from the Rev. And Kyler, why would the Rev ask a question like that? Why would he do so?
I have no clue. He came down to the game at Incarnate Word with us, and we had a good time. Maybe it's because there's the 50 Eastern fans that knew me. I guess I don't know. The AD came from Eastern, talked to us, and he's like, "Hey, where's your wife? We had a good time last year." So I thought that was pretty cool that he remembered who I was and even remembered my wife. But I have no clue. Rev, just we hung out. We had a good time, but I don't think there was anything famous about that. It's Incarnate Word with their 200 fans and then our Eastern 50 fans. So,
as you know, Kyler Neal was watching his Eastern Washington Eagles take on the Incarnate Word, the Bird, and got some hookup from some of our good friends, Zach and Andrew and Mr. Neal, all of them. The experience was well. They treated you well.
Yeah, they actually pretty much sold out their whole home side. So it was more than 250 fans. Let me give Incarnate Word a little bit of credit. The one thing I won't give them credit for is they have the weakest student section of all time. Our 50 fans were louder than that whole section, which was pretty pathetic. But cool experience. You gotta love, Markham. You gotta love Zach. You gotta love Andrew. Not Andrew. Wow, sorry, Neil. I gave two Andrew shouts outs, but what a cool experience. What a beautiful campus. I'll say that the stadium, not jealous of, but the campus itself is just gorgeous. Cool time in San Antonio, hot as balls, but it was fun to watch. They hooked us up where we went down to like the Cardinal Club. So Dustin and I were sitting in the heat. It was like 103 degrees, baking our butts off, miserable because their side was in the shade. Our side, direct sun in the middle of 5 p.m.,
That's
6 p.m.,
smart.
7 p.m. It was just burning up. So we were kind of texting Markham and Zach complaining a little bit about the heat. And all we know is that at halftime, two girls came up to us. They were sent by the AD. They went, "Hey, we're bringing you guys to the Cardinal Club, which is shaded. It's under covers, free food, free drinks." And I thought that was pretty cool. So the hospitality was amazing. Their fans are all super nice. Only one drunken guy who came up to me and said, "Am I talking too much shit?" And no, you guys are fine. You need more of this. We need more of you guys at this stadium. It was a blast overall. It was a good time.
That's awesome, dude. It's always good to have good FCS community members be able to hook each other up, especially when you're going to experience a new place. And I'm not invited there ever again because when I showed up, Incarnate Word lost. So maybe
they mentioned that. They said Matthew will never get the treatment we gave you guys.
Banned. Never again. Hey, speaking of being banned, we had 3 people in our Survivor Pool. Survivor Pool FCS, which is on FCS Gold, where people are picking one team a week. If they get it right, that team wins, they advance to the next week. We lost 3 this week. We had 42 contestants, and Stetson doomed our good man Derek, and then Mercer. Ooh, we're going to talk about them later. Mercer took down 2 people, so we're down to 39 folks, and right off the bat, it was supposed to be the safe week, and we lost 3 humans. Hey, if you're not part of FCS Gold and you want to be part of the playoff bracket challenge, it's too late for the Survivor Pool. $1.99. Description in the link below on YouTube, and you can be part of the playoff bracket challenge when the time comes. Win a $50 Visa gift card. All right, Kyler, one more sponsorship, and then let's get into some big topics. What do we got?
Well, of course, we got here Renegade, right? Renegade Hydrate. So, for one, if you're feeling drier than your uncle's Thanksgiving turkey, grab Renegade. It's going to hydrate. There's 0 sugar. It's packed with electrolytes. It's more refreshing than jumping in the pool with your jeans. Whether you're grinding at the gym, at work, doing horrible takes on this podcast, or baking your butt off at Incarnate Word, go ahead and grab a Renegade Hydrate. It has your back. Stay sharp, get your mind right, and do your thing. It's actually really delicious. Have it here. Opened it up just right before this because I was feeling a little bit toasty this weekend at Incarnate Word in San Antonio in the blazing heat, so I needed to Renegade myself. So go ahead and grab it.
Heck yeah. Support our good friend Dallas. It's a great product. Link in the description below. Okay. I think it's time we need to hear from Jamie Williams. Once I get through this cut video, we got big topics to talk about. We got big games to talk about. Let's get into it, boys.
What are FCS fans talking and posting about nonstop? It's time for the top 6 topics of the week.
Put this out on Twitter. Served 4 years in the Marine Corps, so go Navy. And then I serve currently in the Air Force, so go Air Force. So anytime the Army loses, not on the battlefield, battlefield, they can win. But in football, when they lose, I just have a great time. To me, that's hilarious. I'm never going to cheer for them. We have similar looking uniforms, but sorry, Mr. Markham. Down goes Army by Tarleton State. FCS, the Killers. Jamie Williams, the Rev, and Cody Werlinger are going to get us kicked off the top 6 topics as Tarleton goes and pulls the double OT upset over Army. And here we go. The Rev says, does Tarleton deserve higher than a number 4 ranking? And Cody Werlinger wants to know, Tarleton State upset Army. Are they title contenders, or is there just not enough data points? Let's talk about this one.
Well, as far as I'll take Cody's side first. I think there's not enough data points. I definitely think Tarleton looks pretty good overall. And with their 2 wins, which is an absolute drubbing of Portland State on the road, which they should have done, 42-0. When a team does that, what they should do, that's great. Played another excellent game, a very physical game against Army, pull it out in double overtime. Even with all of that, Victor Gabalis has just been okay. So they've kind of had some cheap lessons on that without having to get a lot from Gabalis. They can put themselves into that title contender. I'm just not ready to put them there yet. But where I am going to put them, because polls are based off what you've done so far and based on your merit, I am going to have them probably number 3.
Oh, wow.
Right now.
Big jump.
And that's not to punish Montana State or to punish South Dakota, who lost to FBS teams themselves. Both of those teams that those 2 teams lost to are significantly better than Army's going to be. Those 2 teams probably would beat Tarleton if they played each other. However, the way I look at my rankings is, what have you done? And what Tarleton has done has shown themselves right now to have a couple of good resumes, markers. As we get in through week 1, they got a road shutout win. They got an FBS win. To me, that's good enough to be number 3 for at least this week, behind the 2 Dakota States. And, there's a lot that's going to happen. And do I think they're going to stay there? Probably not. But do I think they have an outside shot to run their schedule? Kind of. I mean, they look pretty good. I mean, I'll talk about the UAC a little bit later as well. But, yeah, they look really good. Pretty impressed with their run game. Pretty impressed with the way they're playing defense. I think the one place they need to get better is in pass protection. I think Gabalis doesn't have quite enough time to throw, and I think that's part of why his numbers aren't as good, because he's kind of having to either go with his first read or eat it a couple of times. So I'd like to see them get a little bit better in pass protection. And the other thing, just because I hate how they operate at the mesh point. It just looks like they're walking and standing there. And it's goofy looking to me, but it works. It worked with Kayvon Britton. It works with Page. But yeah, I'm going to have them at 3. Title contender, we'll wait and see. Let's get more than a couple data points out there, but they can definitely be one of those teams that threatens for, that 5th seed as it comes down in what's going to be a good UAC. So they're going to be a tested team, and if things fall right, they've got enough talent to beat people, but I'm not going to put them in that category quite yet.
Okay, so maybe not true title contenders, but definitely worthy of that top 3-4 seed as of now. I thought their defense swarmed really well. I thought their defense played very sound versus Army. That's what I was impressed by most. I think everyone is stereotypically and unfairly going to just think that they're more of an offensive squad, but they have a lot of balance to them. And I thought their linebackers played well. I thought Army's offense was nothing special to me, but at the same time, I think Tarleton so far defensively has impressed me. And I think that's what gives them a really good shot to kind of run the table. And I talked about this with you, Jamie. Title contenders are going to be based off of home field advantage. They have to force these teams, in my opinion, to come to their stadium. Do I see them going up into Fargo or some of these other places and maybe getting W's in the playoffs? It's hard pressed. It's all early. It's kind of crazy to even talk playoffs at this point, but I think if they keep doing what they're doing, they will have that argument to be one of those top seeds. Tyler, your Tarleton takeaway, my man.
Yeah, I mean, the question was like, are they deserving of higher than a 4? Yeah, probably. I mean, right now they by far have the best resume on paper. Am I going to put them top 4? Probably not. And you can say, hey, Kyler, that's not fair. Yeah, it's not. It is what it is. It's week 2. We're going into week 2, right? It's week 1.
I want to talk playoff seeds now.
Yeah, we're talking playoff seeds. But, I mean, if they run the table, they're going to be a top 3 seed for sure. I do believe that if they run that table, maybe 4 at worst, depending on what a North Dakota, South Dakota State, and a Montana State do. But all those teams are going to play each other too, which is going to boost one of them down. So if they can run their table, I mean, we're looking at potentially a top 3 seed, depending on where all the dominoes fall. But you mentioned it, Matt. Last year they were known for like just this offensive juggernaut. They got freak athletes in the wide receiver position. You're going to get in a shootout with them, and good luck trying to outscore them. That was kind of the mindset. But I mean, they already created 7 turnovers. We're going into week 2. They're wild. +6 on the board, right? They created 7 turnovers, so they're making up for everything that they do. I mean, if they're creating a turnover, they're capitalizing, they're scoring typically. So Army is not going to be Army last year. They're not going to be 10 wins, right? Army was fantastic. Those little schools over there like Navy and Army, they don't get a benefit from the portal, and they had a huge senior class that left. Now, I wasn't really aware of that until right before this game when someone went, Army's probably not going to be good because look at everyone they lost. And I went, oh, fair enough. I didn't do any research on Army. Yeah, they are not that same 10-win team. They're not going to be. They're probably going to be maybe not one of the worst FBS teams, but they're going to be a bottom half for sure. So Tarleton did what they were supposed to do. They murdered Portland State and made them look like the NAIA team they are. And then they went in here and took an FBS scalp. So yeah, are they deserving of a top 4 seed? Looking at every single resume, maybe there's one other team you could put above them, but other than that, they're deserving of it. I just don't know if they're going to be able to compete with the NDSUs yet, if they're going to compete with the SDSUs yet, because we've seen such a big gap the last 5 to 10 years, right? From multiple programs from the Missouri Valley, a few Big Sky, there's just been this large gap. And I don't know if Tarleton's there, but they got all the resources. They can get talent. They have good portal additions. They have, nice facilities. They're in a great recruiting hotbed. If there's any team from the South that can make this type of a splash and make this splash quickly, it's going to be a Tarleton. So I'm rooting for them. I don't have any animosity against them. Never played them. They didn't beat me this weekend. So, we'll see what Tarleton can do. And yeah, they're deserving of it. But I don't know if they're a title contender, because how are we defining title contenders right now? Is it just NDSU, SDSU? Maybe. If those are just the title contenders, well, then can they compete? There's not enough data points to see if they can compete with them yet, because I'm pretty sure both of those Dakota schools would have mollywopped Portland State as well. Maybe not a 42-0 type of game, I'll be honest with you. Maybe Portland could score once, but it was still going to be a murder. I'd say that. And then beating an Army team, again, FBS team on the road, it's not an easy task. We've all lost to mediocre teams in the past from FBS. They did what they were supposed to do, and they're looking the part. But I think right now I'd say I'm leaning towards quarters, maybe potentially a semifinal run. But even what we've seen historically in the semis the last 20 years is there's more blowouts in the semis than the quarters, which means people who are making the semis aren't really title contenders most of the time as well.
Yep, that's a beautiful breakdown of terms of Tarleton's capabilities. For now, it's going to be exciting to see how they finish the season out.
I think they're going to run the table.
I think they got to avoid
I do think they got to get
down, right? They have to avoid the SoCon letdown.
SoCon.
And just do something dumb and cost themselves a high seed at the end. It's the last thing they need. Okay, well, we finally got a higher tier team versus a lower tier team. like a JV versus varsity. And I'm not talking FBS versus FCS. I'm talking Sac State versus South Dakota State. Jordan says, what was your biggest takeaway from Sac State versus South Dakota State? Well, you guys are rocking those Jackrabbit hats tonight because you're repping the JV squad. And what do you think, Kyler? Sac State's your Big Sky FBS current team. So takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when JV plays JV, right? I was a little shocked. I thought this was going to be more competitive, to be honest. But Sac State, they don't have anyone in the trenches that can go toe to toe with those big time schools yet. They have athletes, but if you don't have time to throw and you can't develop a run, you're going to struggle versus North Dakota State. You're going to struggle versus South Dakota State. You're probably going to struggle versus some of the other top tier teams in your own conference right now. Also, I was shocked. That wasn't. I didn't see any type of. Now I only watched probably a quarter while I was at the game. Because we were down like 21-7 at one point. On, ooh, this is going to get ugly. So I actually started watching this game a little bit on my phone, just cheering for South Dakota State. I was like, let's go, baby. But yeah, I mean, what a abysmal, pathetic performance by, the Sac State offense. I didn't really see much of a go-go. I don't know what they were trying to run. I would say they actually did pretty well defensively. I mean, South Dakota State got some yards, but they were swarming. They were doing a pretty good job containing and not let them really get past, into the red zone that often. So they were doing a pretty good job defensively, and South Dakota State looked a little sloppy. They didn't look like maybe South Dakota State of the last few years as well. But offensively, that's where Jamie and I both thought, offensively, they're going to be able to do some damage. Maybe not defensively. I think that's where Jamie and I were probably thinking the opposite. We're like, if they're going to win, it's probably going to be like a 35-28 type of game. Instead, it was a low scoring, kind of slobber knocker for the most part. South Dakota State, of course, got some of their yards, but they couldn't capitalize on anything. But yeah, I mean, it was an ugly performance. It looked like this Sac State team, this was their first time playing with all of their players. They did not gel. They did not defend the quarterback at all. They did not pressure Mason that much either. I mean, those lines just got chipped apart. It was pretty pathetic to watch, and it made me laugh. I was smiling every time I would pull it up and start watching a little bit. Yet I was going, come on, Dakota. Those are the only times you're going to see me root for the Dakota schools. It's when they're playing this team. I hope this team goes 0-12. I mean, that's the reality. I hope Sac State goes 0-12, and then instead of going JV, goes JJV. So that's what I hope is going to happen. But yeah, it was pathetic. I mean, Sac State looked awful. South Dakota State didn't look that great either, but Sac State looked awful.
Yeah, 12 rushing yards for leading rusher there for Sacramento State. That's pathetic. Just absolutely, that is, totally awful. I've booked birthday parties for my kids before, and like at a venue, you're like, I don't know if I should have spent that money. Wasn't that great? I can't imagine spending $4 million and putting up 3 points against another top tier team. I would just be like, wow, I don't know why I gave any money to that. It's I will say this. I wanted South Dakota State to kill them. I made that public on the podcast. I tweeted to Alex and others about this. I'm like, I hope you destroy them. And I was hoping for more out of South Dakota State. I was. And I think that's just growing pains a little bit. Like the idea that I think SDSU did put out there to the FCS a little bit like, hey, we're not really going anywhere. And I don't think that was a mystery. Chase Mason, you throw 17 for 23 and a touchdown and get some rushing yards in there. South Dakota State's going to win a lot of games. That defense is still stout, and we knew that from the JI guys. So my takeaway is that South Dakota State defense still going to be really strong, probably a semifinals team for sure. And offensively, they're slowly going to start burning and turning. And it was Taco King who was messaging us. He's like, man, this running back coming in for South Dakota State is real good. And I didn't get to see any of his runs, but 159 yards looks pretty impressive to me. So my takeaway is more about, I always knew Sac State was going to lose, as did most people. I think South Dakota State's going to continue to grow, and I think they are going to be one of those powers. But maybe that script flips next week. Who knows? We'll talk about that in 4 questions. Jamie, your feelings, your takeaways, my man.
My biggest takeaway was just how South Dakota State just dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides. I mean, they ran the ball 55 times, so they were comfortable with the run game. 255 yards. Julius Lowridge showed that in this game he was the better transfer from the Patriot League, well ahead of Jamar Curtis, who I really high on. But I mean, Rashada never really got going at all. Nobody in that run game for Sac State got going, evidenced by 24 carries for 24 yards. Freaking solid. They just never got going. And South Dakota State just kind of grounded out. Like Kyler said, Sac State's defense was pretty good. I mean, they didn't overall give up a whole lot more than they should have. But yeah, just they gets grounded out. Chase Mason just efficient enough. He did his job, which is all you really want him to do right now as he gets more comfortable as the starter. So yeah, that's the domination on both sides of the ball in the line is the biggest thing that stood out for me for South Dakota State. Not that surprised me or should surprise me. I definitely thought I'd see a little bit more fight from Sacramento State, but they definitely looked like they wanted to be on the first flight home. I just want to know what kind of seasoning and sauce Dr. Luke Wood put on his crow today.
Yeah, I kind of have a question for you guys because, everyone talks about like bulletin board material, right? Don't give this team bulletin material. Did Sac State give every single team bulletin board material to where like they're going to get the best showing, that they're going to play every single team? Like watch Northern Colorado when they play them is, well, they're not going to be monsters, but that might be the best Northern Colorado team we've seen in the last 3 years just because no one wants to lose to any of these cocky SOBs. I'll say that. No one wants to lose to them. They think they're better than everyone because they got fake money and they're not going to pay anyone. I mean, that's the reality. They're not going to get a new stadium. They're not going to pay anyone. This is all fake depending on this Pac-12 deal that they're never going to get invited to. So I just wonder if like this bulletin board material, is everyone pitting that Sac State game just like a not a prove it game, because you don't really need to prove much against a team who went, 1-11 last year, but you need to prove it to be like, here's some dirt, rub it in your face, go home, cry. Just remember, you have never accomplished anything at this level.
It's not quite the same, but it is similar to Colorado with Dion and everything else coming in. Like
it's our level of it, right?
Yeah, it's our levels of it is really what it is. And you've handed that free material to every other team. And then mentally your players have to handle that. Okay, if you're being told you're a $4 million roster, you're great, you're this, that. If you're 1-2 to start the year or something, you're gonna be thinking like, you just get bummed, man. If you're not hitting the peak that you think you're capable of, yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot that could go wrong there. At the same time, I'll defend Sac State here. What did you have to lose? What did you have to lose? You've been
FBS
terrible.
Offers.
You've been nothing forever. So you know what? Yeah, nothing to lose. See what happens.
They got fake money to lose. That Monopoly money is looking a little bit more colorful than before.
Well, Tyler, some people lost real money betting on this game, which was Kansas State and the University of North Dakota on the anniversary date, August 30th, of when North Dakota State goes and beats Kansas State in 2013 and upsets them. We almost had the same thing from the other North Dakota school. And Wade and Jeremiah have questions about this. Wade says, in a loss, did UND make the biggest impression as a team to watch after week 1? If not, who did? And Jeremiah says, has UND been undervalued so far, or is K-State not very good? Should they jump into the top 25, meaning UND? Jeremiah says, I've read comments on the page that UND should jump into the top 10. So here we go. There's lots of discussion around UND. If you didn't watch it, I watched the whole second half. And UND, yeah, they had Kansas State beat until one final drive at the end. K-State's able to score with 40 seconds left. And ultimately, UND loses a close one to currently ranked number 17 FBS Kansas State. All right, they're FBS extraordinaire. What do you got, Jamie Williams? You're the ranking master. Where are they coming in at?
The first thing I want North Dakota State, or North Dakota, of course, speaking of North Dakota State, leave it to the Bison to freaking just make this all about them with this day anniversary of when we beat them. Okay, so, all right, let me reset myself here. North Dakota fans, pump the brakes. Yes, very, very outstanding performance. Tons of credit. You will move into my top 25 this week. You should be there. You looked excellent. But if you're hearing things about they need to be in the top 10 and they're this, that, the other, good for you. I mean, it's something to build on. Did they make the biggest impression? No. I mean, Austin P made a bigger impression to me because they went there and pasted somebody at Middle Tennessee State. Should probably be in FCS team at best, and they're terrible, but Austin P beat the brakes off of them. That was impressive. What Tarleton's done is impressive. What UND has done, and it's awesome. Like, I'm impressed by it, but it's not one of those things where I'm like, okay, this team is something else. Now, could they be? Absolutely. If they can now tell me that they're going to go play hard and have success on the road, I mean, yeah, they could definitely show me something this year. I know Dallas has been really high on them, and he's probably held his nose and gritted when he's had to say it, but he's pretty high on what they've got going on there from a facilities and a recruiting standpoint. So it's something to build on, and it's impressive, but it's not the biggest impression. Are they top 25 worthy? I mean, yeah, I say yeah, they're going to be in there, but how many teams are top 25 worthy, really? 14? It's going to be really stinking hard for me to finish my 25 because it's rough. It's rough.
You're saying what the Rev said, which is essentially, yeah, okay. 1 through 6 may be easy to figure out, but what do you figure out beyond that?
Yeah, if you remember, Matt, when we were doing my ranking show, I said I had a really hard time with like 5 through 12 or 13, and then from 13 on. And I kind of feel validated by that comment because I still really don't have any idea who is what right now. So, there's a long way to go, a lot of time to figure that out. I think UND will be better than last year. Hopefully, they'll compete again in the Valley and give some troubles to some other teams and see what they can do.
Yeah, I was impressed. Their running game was absolutely awesome. Their one back, I don't want to butcher his name, Sawyer, 2 touchdowns, 62 yards. He was gutting through guys. That was great. Their lines look good. Their lines looked like they were holding up against Kansas State. Really, no problem. Sophomore quarterback was playing very effective, 23 for 38. I mean, that's a lot of passes to go make down and against an FBS opponent. Number 17, that's a hard place to play. It's hot as heck. So I will give UND a lot of credit to go down there and to do what they did and to be a drive away from that upset. I mean, this is a completely different narrative if they win this game. I mean, this is a completely different narrative. Tarleton is going to jump all the way up to number 3. UND is definitely in the top 10 if they win this game over a number 17 FBS. I will say this. Kansas State looked like junk. Oh, Chris Kleiman, they look bad. The receivers dropping ball, corners with wide open coverage. I mean, it was not overly impressive what Kansas State was putting on the field, to be honest with you. But I think UND does deserve credit to this. The question with UND is when you go down their schedule, you have to be like, holy moly. So first off, we're going to learn about them quick. They're going to go play at Montana. That's tough. They're going to go at UNI, at Southern Illinois, not easy Valley schools to go play against. And then it's UND on the road, which we know about them. They're going to host North Dakota State. They're going to host South Dakota State. They're going to go to USD. It's either going to be make or break with a brutal schedule.
And that's one thing I'll say, Matt, is I will be more impressed with North Dakota if they go to Montana and win that game than the close loss to Kansas State, and maybe even more impressed if they had even beaten Kansas State, because I'll be more impressed with Montana getting beat by North Dakota at home than even if North Dakota had beaten Kansas State, because teams approach those games differently sometimes, and you just get up for it, and it doesn't really have a whole lot of bearing on where you finish out, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a 4-letter word in this question. It's a loss, right? At the end of the day, it's 0-1. Now, also, let's play the little historical card, because I like to do that. We have seen a lot of bad FCS teams go toe-to-toe with good FBS schools. We've seen bad FCS teams like Jamie's JMU beat a ranked Virginia Tech team. Jamie's school is not good. They didn't make the playoffs.
We were terrible.
That's the reality.
We only went 6-5.
Yeah, and again, easy CAA. It's fine.
Not at that time, buddy.
But so the thing is, like, was it impressive? Yes. I actually thought they won. I kind of turned it off because I thought they won with 40 seconds left. I was like, let's go, baby. I took off my ESPN app, and I was like, yep, they won. That's pretty badass. And if they won, definitely a different conversation than if they lost. But they lost. At the end of the day, I don't know what that makes of them. I'm still not sure. Are they a top 25 team? People will probably put them in there, and I think it's justified because they played tough against a ranked FBS team. But it's week 1. Sometimes an FBS team does not pay really much attention to us, and they're not prepping for them. Who's next on Kansas State's schedule?
I will look that up for you, sir.
So I'm
The
just curious.
answer is Army. They get to host Army.
Well, then see, maybe they were worried about a 10-win Army team, and they shouldn't have been. But that's the thing. It's sometimes we get these weird fluke games where, again, like Eastern beat Fresno State. Eastern wasn't that great. Fresno State just came off a 10-win season, and again, Eastern wasn't that great. So we see these wins, we see these close games happen every single year to where we put almost too much stock. I don't really want to put a lot of stock into these FBS games. It is the reality. It's cool when you get a scalp, but it doesn't mean you're automatically a top tier team, even if it's an amazing FBS program. Now, if you beat an Ohio State, it's a completely different discussion than a Kansas State. I will say that. Those are light years, even difference in programs. I get they're both P4, but an Ohio State would beat Kansas State by probably 60. That's just the reality of what, football has become. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say, hey, it was cool watching them. They made a pretty big impression. They were competitive. They fought, and they probably should have won. So you got to give props to them. But just because they were competitive versus team, it doesn't mean they're going to be a playoff caliber team. I think they probably will, but it doesn't mean they're going to be a title contender now. Just because even though you think maybe Kansas State would win a title, it doesn't mean any of that. It means it was week 1, very sloppy. A lot of teams are still trying to gel, and we're not going to learn much. I mean, that's just a reality. I would rather see them have this type of a performance versus Montana, this type of a performance versus North Dakota State before I start giving too much props, just because we see this historically with a whole bunch of bad programs that are competitive. Just being competitive doesn't mean you win.
And UND has a lot to prove. And I think there's historical context to our opinions here. Like UND has a ton to prove playing on the road versus big opponents. And they've had their upsets. They've got their opportunity where they hit a North Dakota State. They've upset some others, but there's going to be a lot more that needs to be proven for UND. Are they top 25 worthy right now? Absolutely. Because once you get into that 15 to 25, who knows?
And here's the real question. Are there more than 10 teams that are worthy to be top 25 right now? Probably not.
No.
It's pretty darn close to 10. If you stretch it, it could be 15.
So, yeah.
Dustin and I were having that exact conversation this afternoon. I had the conversation with Sam this afternoon. It's just, Sam and I were struggling. He's put his 2025 together, and God bless him, he got one done.
Well, Jamie, then the question is, will you still keep a Mercer ranked? Because Zach, the great Carlton, is going to ask, Mercer losing to Presbyterian. Oofta. Again, took down 2 of our survivor pool folks. Is it the worst loss for the top 25 teams through 2 weeks, or is your worst loss game so far? Like, is there somebody else out there? Jamie, how bad is this Mercer loss? And I mean, what is the fallout here?
Well, I will say if it was Neil or Andrew asking that question, I would just say that they couldn't wait to get that one out there, because then it takes incarnate words away from the worst loss. But Zach likes Nichols too, because he went there or worked there. I don't remember which one he went to and worked at. I know his wife's full on Nichols. So, but yeah, I mean, Mercer loses Presbyterian. That's one of the worst losses in a while. I mean, I think Presbyterian beat Wofford a couple of years ago too. But they didn't have near the expectation that Mercer did. And this wasn't one of those things where Mercer really just dominated the game and turned the ball over a bunch. Look at the stats.
They're so bad.
And more passing yards, more rushing yards. Presbyterian probably should have had more than a 5-point win. They eked it out there at the end. That's pretty bad. I mean, that's a really, really bad loss, and Mercer is out of the top 25 on my ballot this week, guaranteed. It's just, I don't see how they stay in, even with everybody else having a real bad week. I don't remember if we've got another SoCon question, because otherwise I could talk about Western Carolina. Holy jumping,
all of them.
I mean, it was pretty bad. I mean, Samford, they think they're going to be decent enough, and they got mollywopped by West Georgia, kind of like they lost to them last year. But West Georgia just hammered them. I mean, VMI, who cares? I think they played FBS team, the Citadel. They played at the number 1 team in the country, but
Furman beat the Tribe, baby.
Furman did beat William & Mary, but
Furman.
the CAA is basically the NEC, so who cares? I mean, good for Furman. Speaking of, I will be at Maine William & Mary this weekend. So,
Nice. Okay.
I don't have to watch that on the stat sheet because I'm not going to watch it on Flow. So I'll be there. I'll checking that one out. So we'll see how things turn out. But that's a really, really bad loss for Mercer. And unless I don't see a way, because without having that UC Davis game, which I feel like they were going to win, I felt like they were getting ready to take a drive, get down there, and I think they had the momentum to win that game. That means nothing now. If they don't win the SoCon, they ain't going to the playoffs. This is too much of an albatross on their record.
I don't even think they were going to beat UC Davis. They were coming back a little bit after some weird things were happening in that game, but I still think UC Davis, their defense got a pretty big stop on that last drive to where I think it shut down all the momentum. But we're not even talking about, is this the worst loss through the first week of this? This might be the worst loss for a top 25 team in history. I mean, that's the reality. This is the same program that last year Mercer beat Presbyterian 63-7, 63-3, right? So now you're playing them in back-to-back seasons. And honestly, Mercer got gifted to have a close game. If you look at the stats, I didn't even watch this game because I went, this is going to be another 60-0 type of game. Because again, they played last year. Presbyterian is not a good Pioneer League school. This is the team that just a few years ago brought in a new coach to try and not punt on anything, and it just backfired, and they lost by 100 most games when they didn't play an NAIA school. So I didn't even watch this game because I thought there was zero opportunities for Presbyterian to actually control anything. But just looking at the stats, they doubled them up on yards. That's pathetic. This shouldn't even be a 15 to 10 point game. This should probably be more. What a pathetic performance by Mercer. I mean, that's just the reality. SoCon is maybe the worst it's ever been. So sorry, Kevin. NIL is really getting to this whole league. Maybe you should add more teams so then you can hopefully schedule easier games. But if you can't beat Presbyterian, who are you going to beat? So SoCon sucks. Let's just be honest with ourselves. No one had a good performance outside of Furman. But like I said in our preseason episode, William & Mary's going to suck this year too, so it doesn't matter. This is a one big conference already. They don't even need a SoCon themselves in the regular season. They already did it to themselves.
They didn't even SoCon. They pioneered.
They Pioneer League themselves, which guess what? Eastern did too. But Eastern sucks. Eastern's not a top 25 team. And at least we lost to the good one, not Presbyterian. That's pathetic. So this might be the worst loss a top 25 team has ever had. This is worse, in my opinion, than some of the good D2 schools that have beat some good FCS teams, because Presbyterian has less resources and less scholarships than D2 programs. That's the reality. I hate this Division I rule where they play Division I basketball, so we need to let them play football. In this era, if you're not even paying for scholarships, you don't deserve to have football. You are a club football program. Right now, Mercer, you were one of the top SoCon teams coming into this year. You lost to a club football team. That's the reality. It's not even Division I. It's not D2. It's not D3. It's not NAIA. You lost to a club football team. So at the end of the day, that is pretty pathetic if you were hoping to be a top 25 program.
And it may just ETSU is the favorite. Everybody likes them. And if they end up winning the SoCon, again, how are we going to get a second bid out of there? Who knows? Enough chaos could erupt, but right now, not looking pretty. Not looking pretty. What did look effective, I don't know about pretty, but pretty darn effective, was some quarterback play. And Mr. Keith Nelson wants to know, quarterback play could be the difference for the usual suspects. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana State. Those are the three big turnover quarterback schools this year, right? What did you see out of their quarterback play from the weekend? So here you go. I'm going to chalk this up right now. Did we see anything out of Montana State in terms of against Oregon? I mean, that to me is is it even worth discussing? Are we still in prediction mode?
Well,
one thing had a good game. I know that.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is, Lamson was 23 out of 31. That's okay. For playing against the number 7 team in the country, that's okay. but I don't think we learned anything about Montana State.
Yeah, it's
They
kind of
were never going to
unfair
be
judge.
anything in that game.
They're
Chase
not Idaho.
Mason, Cole Payton, Idaho should have won that game. I was impressed
Another
with
JV
how.
team.
Yeah, exactly. I was impressed with how Chase and Cole handled their games. So I'm not surprised by any of that, but I think you can kind of flush what Lamson did overall. Obviously, he was looking for Taco Dowler. He had 23 completions, 12 of them were to Taco for 107 out of his 198 yards. I mean, that's just where it was. But, when Malott first played, he was just chuck it up to Lance and see what happens. So McCutcheon. So, yeah, Will can flush that one. The other two, Cole Payton played a bad Citadel team. The Citadel's not good. They're not going to be good, but he did what he needed to do: 100 running, 100 passing. That'll get the job done. Chase Mason, efficient enough. Had Low Ridge go off, so didn't need any more from him. I will be interested to see as we get down there. We're going to have to see from Lamson and Mason this week.
Yeah, for sure. I think with NDSU, SDSU, since we didn't learn much from Montana State, it's just these defenses, I think, on both of those squads, I think could be some of the best. I said about North Dakota State for sure, and I trust JI Illustrated guys where they said the talent is still there for South Dakota State to be a great defense. And you just need effective quarterback to be able to win a lot of games. Now, will that win you the title versus somebody else who's got that little bit of edge? I mean, we've seen Cam Miller outduel Mark Gronowski just barely, just enough, and it was just a huge difference last year. You saw Mark Gronowski with good weapons and people around him and better play outduel Cam Miller multiple times in key moments. You saw Tommy Malott outdo people in key moments. Like, having the quarterback in the situation, Sam Houston, SDSU in the COVID year, that stinks because Gronowski went down, but the quarterback was the difference. And so by the thinnest margin, when you get to these top tiers, who's at home, how good is the quarterback playing is massive. But I can't predict anything from that. What I can say is just if you're watching on YouTube, sharing the screens, I just think, like, looking at Chase Mason, this will win South Dakota State a lot of football games. 17 of 23, throws for 73% completion, 190 yards, throws a touchdown pass, and then does some things on the ground as well. Didn't really have to do a lot with his legs because he could just hand off the ball. And then you look at Cole Payton. Funny, Cole Payton, he would have been 14 of 16, but there was 2 drops. One of them from Bryce Lance, which I'm pretty sure was AI because I don't think that's real. But, for him, 11 for 17, 64% completion, 192 yards. He did another 100 yards on the ground. His run game, of course, much more impressive this game than Chase. So here's my takeaway. Who grows more from that and becomes the most effective passer between these two? I don't know. But there's a lot of growth to happen. Right now, they're doing what they need to do on the offenses against Sac State, which is a much more impressive win for SDSU than the Citadel. The Citadel didn't even look like the players were so small compared to NDSU. It wasn't fair. So there's so much more. We should not overreact from these things. The quarterbacks look good early. Kyler, give us some truth serum. How's this supposed to go?
I didn't see anything from anyone that made me super pumped or super concerned at the same time. I'll just say that because, again, Oregon is by far the best team an FCS school has played this year. That's just a reality. Oregon would beat every single one of us. It is what it is. They have talent. They got more money than everyone. They would run a train on everyone. They took Idaho lightly last year. They're not doing that anymore for anyone ever again.
No.
And they're going to kind of earn it on that field, and they're still pissed off, I think, from that Ohio State, game at the very end of the last season. But I wasn't that impressed also with, SDSU's quarterback. Wasn't that impressed with Cole because, again, you're playing the Citadel. I think Nathan Hayes probably could have put up a better performance than Cole. Maybe not running the ball, but I think
don't say that on Twitter. Don't say that on Twitter. Bison fans.
It is what it is. He looks probably like a better. He looks probably like a better passer than Cole. But Cole's probably a bigger weapon to where you can see him, go down the field and get those tough first downs. If there's like a 3rd and short, he's got his legs that could probably make it pretty effective. But when I was watching that game, a little bit of like the highlights. All right, let's say this is against Colorado last year. Does Cole look like the guy who's going to have a Cam Miller season where you can depend on him to just go? And again, it's week 1. right? So we're putting this judgment on it. Cam Miller was a 5-year starter or something like that, 4 years. He was there forever. And people thought he was the worst quarterback of all time. If you're a Bison fan, then he ends up being one of the best of all time.
He was until last year.
Yeah, but you're looking at Cam Miller, and last year what he was able to do is, if you needed to score, you let him throw the ball, and he's going to make everyone else around him better. He had NFL caliber accuracy, made really tough throws on the outside of the field. You're doing these posts, and again, they were beautiful. There were tons of NFL throws. I didn't see anything this week from any quarterback that made me go, they have a Cam Miller. I don't see it yet. Now, again, it's week 1. NDSU doesn't need to open up their playbook against the Citadel. Maybe we're going to see something that's a little more fun that they can actually do some things with, and it's going to make me pretty impressed by Cole. But again, with Citadel, you don't need to do much. You can throw Jamie in there for a few plays, and he might get a first down. I'm not going to say he's going to completely get a first down versus a D1 team, but there's a chance with that O-line that Jamie jumps in there and gets a first down as well. So sure, Cole should.
Probably would.
And he ran through him. He was a fantastic runner when he needed to run. They were both accurate in terms of, SDSU and NDSU, but they weren't stretching the ball down the field that often. They weren't really making these crazy, insane plays that you had to. They were just methodically throwing the ball, getting their first downs, grinding, and just doing what they're supposed to do to get a win. They're relying on their defense, which if they play how they are, these are going to be 2 stud teams that you're going to see in the semifinals at bare minimum. But nothing from these quarterbacks made me change my opinion from our preseason, where I go, I don't know who's going to be the better of the 3, who has the most talent. Because, again, I think most of these teams would have struggled versus Oregon. Oregon was playing like just a different caliber program. And I think Oregon would have done this to probably everyone at the FCS level, not just Montana State, even though we were all making fun of Montana State's quarterback anyway the last few weeks. But
the record setter.
Record setter for sure. Those 8 touchdowns, baby. But I didn't see anything that made me excited, but also that made me nervous. I think these are both going to be 3 stud teams when it comes down to it. And they each have weapons. They're going to rely on the run. They're going to rely on their defense. And, if the quarterback can make those special plays in those big time moments, that's where we're really going to start to see them separate themselves. But they didn't have to. There was 1 touchdown that SDSU should have had, but it was actually a good defensive play by, Sac State, where he, got the ball out of, I forgot which wide receiver from SDSU, but he got the ball in the end zone. He got it out of his hands. It was really close from being a touchdown. So maybe that would have made me have a little more stock in their quarterback play, but that was good defense by Sac State right there. So I don't know. It's just too early to see.
Yep. Nothing like, and it was Butler, but Trey Lance, his first game ever, 6 touchdowns. And you're like, oh, wow. Okay. This guy's seems like just an absolute man amongst boys out there. And then we didn't have that moment from these quarterbacks. We just didn't have it. So that's okay.
Let's talk about the glory days real quick. And it wasn't even the glory days. It's still when we weren't that good, but we were competitive. There was a game that Eric Berry against UW looked awful. He threw 30%, but then throughout the rest of the FCS, he was a Walter Payton Award winner. So if we're just throwing down Montana State's quarterback because I played Oregon, just be prepared. Yeah, they're gonna be able to hold the trenches with the rest of the FCS probably and most likely, and then it's gonna set up for some big time plays as well. So I would not. There's people making fun of Montana State for losing to Oregon. We've all lost. A time when JMU won it. A time when JMU won a national title and kind of mollywopped everyone in the playoffs. They got their butts beat by not even that good of a P5 team in, what was it?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah, he's a bum too. So,
backup quarterback.
But JMU looked like just complete, we don't belong to play football. And then they won a national title that year. That's just a reality. They got beat by 50 or 60 as well. It was pretty up there. But again, it is what it is. We don't learn much from these games.
It wasn't that bad.
Well, was it 56?
It was 56-28, I think.
But you guys got some garbage time scores?
No, we actually had a shitty second half. We hung with them for a half.
They scored 50 in the second half.
They put up the burger on us.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna learn a lot, gentlemen, this weekend. I think we will. We're gonna learn a lot, and that's because we have what I'm going to predict is going to be number 2 South Dakota State at number 3 Montana State. A predictive ranking there. And you'll notice this is not a fan question. We rarely do this. It's probably been done 8 times in 9 years. This is straight from us. Our last one here is We're going to predict it. We're going to talk about it. This matchup is huge for seeding, for ranking, for momentum, for everything. And at Montana State, we have the Jackrabbits traveling down there. And here we go. Gentlemen, we're going to predict it. So feel free to throw your prediction out when you want to talk about it. Jamie, what do you think, man? What are you looking for in this game? What are the X factors? How does it play out?
As these teams have been the last X number of years, I'm watching the trenches. I mean, both have had excellent offensive lines and still have excellent offensive lines. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of run game, protecting the young quarterback type of thing. And it's going to come down to, who can make a big play. You might be held to 3, every time you run the ball. But if somebody can pop a 15, pop a 20, I'm looking at a game that gets into the 20s maybe for both teams. And I think you said it, Matt, quite a bit. When you get down to it, when teams are pretty evenly matched, home field matters. So I think I lean Montana State. But would it surprise me if SDSU wins? Absolutely not. But I think my pick would be Montana State, notwithstanding, getting mollywop by Oregon, big whoop, and but this is going to be one hell of a matchup, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's going to be what everybody should be watching this week. There's a lot of good games on the schedule, but nothing at this caliber. And credit to both of these teams for scheduling it. This is awesome to get something like this. They had a instant classic a few years ago where Montana State was about a toe away from winning the game. So in Brookings. So we'll see if they can get a little regular season revenge there. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking for a really physical game in the trenches, and whoever can pop one or two extra plays is going to be the team that wins.
Honestly, what was that, 2 years? It was the undefeated season for South Dakota State. Yeah, that was the closest matchup they had, and boy, did that come down to the wire. I think we're going to see something similar. I think it's going to be really, really dang close. So, Jamie, are you taking the Bobcats?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bobcats. I'm not sure why overall, but other than home field. But I just have that feeling and wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see it go the other way. It would be, I'm fine either way. I don't care. Just want to see a good football game.
I think that people are undervaluing, and I know Montana State brings boys back, but I think that defense in South Dakota State is just as strong as it has been in years past. I think their offensive line, their big tackles that they're returning, their transfers they brought in, those are big boys. And that running game, what they had against Sac State, I think they're going to be able to do that against Montana State late in the game. So I think if South Dakota State can control turnovers, Chase Mason can play within himself. I don't know about a young coaching staff going into Montana State. I think that could have its impacts. But I'm going to trust South Dakota State on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to get a few more stops. I think they get better run game play. And I'm going to take the Jackrabbits really close. I'm going to take it in like a 23-17 fashion. That's going to be my prediction. I'm going to go with the Jacks. Kyler, what do you think of this one?
For one, let me just say I'm glad that these top tier programs are doing this. Like
Heck
Ohio
yeah.
State versus Texas, the first game of the week for FBS. I mean, that's pretty cool to see. The number 1 versus number 2, number 1 versus number 3, something like that. And we're seeing the same type of thing right now. And we've seen it historically with the FCS. If it was NDSU playing, back when Eastern was good, Sam Houston was playing on the road against, Eastern, and North Dakota State's played top tier teams. I love when this happens, and it seems like the South Dakota, they've been doing this for the last few years as well, kind of proving their worth even before a tough schedule. Because if you're these programs, you don't have to play these other top tier programs to get a high seed. You have a gauntlet typically in the conference to where you don't have to risk this. You can have a Montana type of schedule this year and get 4 ducks that just you should blow out most of the time. Maybe North Dakota's not a duck anymore, so we'll see. But I love that they do this, and props to both ADs who are willing to risk it. The first couple of weeks of the season, you're willing to risk everything. This is a high seed takeaway. You lose one of these games, you could bump down 2 seeds. I mean, that's just a reality. So first, just love it. Props to both teams for even scheduling this. This is a dangerous game for both, and I love that they did a home and home. we didn't learn anything from Montana State. We learned a little bit from South Dakota State for sure last week. So this will be interesting. I do think home field advantage does play a little bit of a part. It is tough playing at those Montana schools. They're going to be sold out. They're going to be raucous. They're going to be rowdy. It is going to be fun. It'll probably be the best FCS environment that South Dakota State will see this year. Yeah, that's even including NDSU. Sorry. I just think those Montana schools are a little bit different in terms of a home field environment than even a Fargo Dome. I just think Fargo Dome probably most of the time has the much better team compared to those Montana schools. So that better team is a little bit better than the home field advantage.
I will say
the
Grizz can take down the Bison. I haven't seen Montana State ever take NDSU down there, but well, maybe one day.
Yeah, you're playing in the end of the year again.
Maybe
better team.
You never
know. I'll probably, for one, I'm going to be rooting for the Jackrabbits this game. I want the Big Sky to be a one-bid league. I don't think it's going to be, but I really want them to. Again, if you guys know anything from the last few years, if you're a listener, if my team sucks, I want everyone to suffer. So I hope South Dakota State just beats them down, and I hope the conference sucks. I do think it is going to be a competitive game, and I think we're not going to see the same type of Montana State we saw against Oregon, because, again, I think if South Dakota State played Oregon, it would have been a very similar outcome. I think Oregon's just a different level, so it's hard to judge. But also, Montana State was doing okay against Oregon's run. I will say that. They were doing okay. They weren't like elite, but against that front seven of Oregon and their running backs, who, they have tons of different athletes, they were doing okay. I don't think South Dakota State has nearly the amount of talent Oregon does in the backfield. So if they can do, what Oregon did, then awesome. I just don't think, I think it's going to be a slobber knocker. I like Jamie's kind of pick to where it's kind of probably be in the 20s. Maybe it could be a couple slow turnover type of issues where maybe they're scoring on a turnover, but these are two sound teams, two good coaching, a lot of athletes at the FCS level playing on both these squads. I'm going to lean South Dakota State just because I've trusted them more a little historically, and we saw a little bit more out of them against Sac State. But again, given the circumstances, I don't think we saw what Montana State is capable of versus their similar caliber type of talent level and players. But I think it's going to be probably a one-possession type of game. But I'm going to root for South Dakota State for a murder, but I'm going to pick them in a very close 3-point win, maybe like a 27-24.
All right. Well, two of us going Jacks, one going Montana State. Will not be surprised if it goes one way or the other. Hey, make sure you have some good tailgate food if you're heading out for that game in that sellout. Have some burgers, have some pizza, have some tacos.
Taco King, coming to you from bright and sunny Fargo, North Dakota. It's time for a taco bet, and time for you losers to pay up.
Hey, if you are doing a fantasy draft while you recorded a podcast and you already had Bijan Robinson, you needed another running back, would you take Ashton Genty or Derrick Henry? Who would you pick? This isn't a taco bet. This is a real
this a 4-team league?
No, it's everyone had their keepers. So all the keepers just went through the first round. Now you're in round 2. What do you think?
I haven't seen enough from Genty to think he's going to make that move yet.
You sure?
So many people are taking Genty in the first round, and it might pay out, but
all right,
I'd go with tried and true.
Sounds good. I took Genty,
especially if you've got Bijan.
Okay, now to the actual taco bet. I ain't cutting that out of the episode. People can comment if they think I made the right call. All right,
we'll get ripped. That's fine.
Tarleton State, Taco King, is a top 4 seed in the playoff bracket. This is a Matt original, so I wanted to bounce this one off of. All right, Jamie, time to predict it. Will they run the table, have one loss? Will there be enough chaos? Will Tarleton State be a top 4 seed in the playoffs?
They are probably just going to drop a game somewhere that you're like, really? And they do have tough back-to-back road games at Eastern Kentucky and at Abilene Christian. They get to host Southern Utah, so the other, and then they also host Austin Peay, who's put themselves in the discussion. I think they'll drop one of those somewhere. They feel like somewhere of a 5 to 8 seed to me.
Okay.
I think once everything equalizes. Now, don't ask me who's going to be the 4, but I mean, I'm thinking probably Dakota, Montana State, and we'll see what Montana does. It's going to be hard to break into that, but I'm going to say they're somewhere between 5 and 8, just because I think they're going to drop a game. If they don't, they're a lock for a top 3. but I think they'll drop one.
I think there's a Montana and a Dakota that's up there. And then I think I'm not sold on USD, and I think Grizz and Cats are going to face off. I think they're going to pull it off, and I think they're going to be a top 4 seed. And honestly, I'm hoping it happens. I want to see it. I like way more fun when you had a Sam Houston that was interjected in there and caused a little chaos on the back end as they ramped up their defense a bit. I'm going to say yes. Kyler, what's your bet?
If they go undefeated, they're 100% a top 4 seed. And looking at their schedule, the UAC is pretty tough. They're not elite, but they're not bad. They will be the favorite in every single game they play, at least, right now, until they drop a few, then maybe it would change. But as of right now, they are the favorite in every single game they play. They ended last year really turning it on, I think, to where we saw maybe Tarleton's turning that leaf, which would be pretty cool. We need a good team from the South. JMU was the only good team in the South, and they're not really a Southern team. Sorry, Jamie. I don't buy into that Virginia being a South. You're probably closer to New York City than you are Athens, Georgia. If they go undefeated, they're undeservedly, they are going to 100% be a top 4 seed. It's so tough to go undefeated, even in a conference that maybe isn't like ideal. But again, the UAC is tough. I would be shocked. Wouldn't be shocked if they went undefeated, but I wouldn't bet on them running the tables. They're probably going to drop a game. It happens to even elite teams who win a national title. So right now I'm going to say no, they're probably going to drop a game even though they shouldn't. They're going to be a favorite. It's just they're going to get to them. Someone's going to be pumped up. Someone's going to play, and then it'll kick them down to that 5-6 seed because I think they also have a D2 game in there. Am I wrong?
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do this year.
Nope, they're in the clear. No D2 opponent. Yep.
Gotcha, cool.
West Georgia's transitioning, but they're UAC. So
yeah, and they just mollywopped SoCon team too. So good job.
But that's like beating the CAA team.
Oh, it was CAA. Dang it.
No, it was a SoCon team, but it's the same thing as beating a CAA.
Yeah, same thing as Pioneer League school. So yeah, I would just, if I'm a betting man, I'd go the safe bet going, they're probably going to lose a game, even though they're going to be a favorite in every single game. And I'll be betting on them in every single game because I'll probably win more money than I'll lose by betting on them every single game. But it's hard to go undefeated. So if they lose one, they'll probably push down to a 5 seed.
All right. Very cool. We will see who ends up winning those taco bets and us enjoying them when we're in Nashville.
Just because your question is answered quickly doesn't mean we don't care. It's time for this week's quick hit questions.
All right, Jens, time to get the quick ones knocked out here. Got some fun ones here at the end for us, so make sure you stick through it if you're still with us at the pod. Lee says, did any conferences make you rethink their strength? What do you got, Jamie? You ranked all the conferences, every single one of them. You got any rethink?
Yeah, the SoCon is really bad right now. They really didn't put hardly any good data points out there. Furman beating William & Mary is fine, but it moves 0 needles upwards for them. What's worse is Mercer getting beat by freaking Presbyterian. And maybe even worse was Western Carolina blowing the size lead they did and losing to Gardner-Webb. And I understand Teron Dickens got hurt. But Teron Dickens wasn't on the defense that gave up 52 points. You just can't do that. Those two teams were supposed to be 2 of the 3 best teams in the SoCon, and they have put out just the most terrible looks. As far as from the other side, UAC had a hell of a week. They had 2 FBS wins. Utah Tech had UC Davis on the ropes. They just gave it up. Southern Utah got a little revenge from last year and hammered Idaho State like they should have. West Georgia hammered Samford. It's UAC is a tough little conference. They had a hell of a week, and they're gonna. I think they right now look like the number 3 conference. The Southland's got an argument for that. We'll see what the Ivy League has. CAA and SoCon are not. But yeah, so from a positive standpoint, UAC phenomenal. Just watching how those teams played.
3 bids.
Well,
yeah, should be, and I'm hoping this team's one of them.
Sometimes you take a question away from me, which is totally okay. The next question was Seth Meyer, and Seth, that is your answer, buddy. Which result impressed you the most and disappointed you the most? There you go. Jamie just ran it down for you. The Rev follows that up with saying, should Stetson be kicked out of D1? Stetson, of course, doomed Derek this week in Survivor pool for the FCS. And yeah, Stetson lost to a team
NAIA.
is called Weber International University Warriors. Weber, Webber. And that team beat Stetson 31-21.
They're an NAIA team.
Yeah, that's just not a good look whatsoever.
Pioneers club football, and so is SoCon.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Kyler, Stephen Wagner says, I was working, so I missed it. Any positives from Montana State from that game? Want to expand on that a little bit?
They didn't give up.
I think they got out healthy.
Yeah, they got out healthy. No injuries. They didn't give up. They scored, close to the end of the game in garbage time.
Garage time.
Really wasn't. Yeah, my bad. There wasn't really any positives, but there also wasn't that many negatives as well. I mean, I just don't think you take anything from that game, good or bad. You didn't learn anything from them.
Very cool. Well, moving from that, extremely early attendance line, Kyler Elliott wants to know, over under attendance of 38,500 people for the 2027 Vegas Kickoff Classic. That's Montana State versus NDSU. The next year, you're going to be looking at Montana and South Dakota State. What a cool thing for those teams, again, to do something big time to kick it off. Over under 38,500 fans. NDSU brought 34,000 to Target Field. Now that's right down the road in Minneapolis when they played Butler a few years ago. Jamie, over under. What do you got? 38,500. Under?
Under. I mean,
there,
I think we'll be in the low 30s. I don't think we're going to get 38.5.
Okay. I think you're going to need the Montana folks to show up big because I think you'll get more of them. But who knows?
I think it's going over. It's Vegas. Now, what the NCAA screwed up with, this is a better idea. You should have had those games back to back, same stadium, same day. You could have had 20,000 fans from each program, and you could have brought in 80 because you would have had fun with Montana fans cheering on in Dakota when they were playing against Montana State. I mean, it could have just been chaos, and people would have stuck around for both games. But I'm actually going to go over on that one. I think it's Vegas. Vegas will be fun. And that's going to bring quite a bit.
Man, that's a really good point if you had put them back to back. Cody Werlinger says, besides Mercer getting upset, which other outcome was a shocker, whether the team won or lost? I'll take this one, and I hate to just honestly repeat, but I was shocked by Sacramento State, South Dakota State, overall just as the absolute score. I thought South Dakota State would kill them by more, 20-3. I thought Sacramento State would score a touchdown, maybe two. 20-3 to me was kind of a shocking result between those two teams. After week one, who is maybe already a front runner for the Peyton and the Buck Awards? Jamie, you tracking anybody? We got any front runners?
Way too early to tell. I don't know. I mean, way too early to tell. Derek Robertson from Monmouth threw for 490 yards and 4 touchdowns. He threw 4 picks. I mean, he's going to be high on people's ballots. Julius Lowridge looked good. Yeah, I mean, there's a kid for Tarleton who had a couple interceptions and a fumble recovery the other night. I mean, but yeah, it's way too early. Way too early for that.
Way too early predictions. Just a quick hit today, says Derek. What's your favorite college campus you've been on for a game besides your own team? Incarnate Word. I don't travel a lot of places. I haven't been to a lot of college campus stadiums for football games. Maybe as I grow older with my kids, but I was sideline passes there. So honestly, that is my answer. I really haven't been many places. What do you got there, Kyler?
I mean, Incarnate Word was a beautiful campus. This is going to be a cop-out answer, but it's University of Washington, and it's not really close. Now, if we're looking for just FCS, maybe it's a different discussion, but University of Washington is like a top 5 beautiful campus in the world, and it is gorgeous. So by far that. But Incarnate Word, really pretty for an FCS school. I thought it was going to be a campus of like 2,000, maybe 2 buildings. No, I was very shocked. It's a beautiful campus. Not in my top 5 that I've been to, but Incarnate Word does deserve some credit. Beautiful campus.
Give him the shout out. Jamie, we're going around the horn on this one.
Your team. Yeah, not JMU, but I would actually have to say Norfolk State.
Really?
Gorgeous campus. Really, really well taken care of. It was really cool, nice campus. Yes, just down in obviously in Norfolk. It's just a Yeah, like the campus. Get that, the Dick Price Stadium is old, but it's cool. But yeah, just the stadium was awesome. So yeah, I definitely will go there.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
if we're asking about just FCS, I'll probably go Washington State. That's still a pretty campus. If we're strictly disclaiming UW and only going FCS.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That was good. Kyler Elliott comes around the bend here and says, what's your favorite life hack that you recommend everybody do? A life hack. I learned this from some other dude when I was on a military training. He puts things that he wants, but does not need on websites. He puts them in the cart and he gets all the way to checkout and he saves and he exits. And he goes, yeah. He's like, 90% of these companies, they'll send me an email a week later. You forgot something in your cart. And then they send me a coupon. He's like, then I buy it. I was like, wow, I don't have the patience for that. I go on Amazon, I click. I am a consumer bad person. I should do coupons, but I thought that was pretty cool. If you've got the patience, put it in the cart and then wait for the coupon. So, Kyler, what's a life hack, man?
Don't really have a good one besides maybe after your team wins a national title, you just love life and then you disappear and never root for them again. That's probably a good life hack to have.
Yeah,
in my current situation. Or just use ChatGPT for everything. I use that for everything.
Yep, that is the way. Jamie, do you have a famous life hack? Give us the Ron Swanson life hack of Jamie Williams.
Eat more bacon.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be an idiot. Dwight Schrute.
Don't be a dick. Just be kind. It's not that hard.
Lee says at the end here, an old fashioned or a margarita. Jamie, which
Margarita.
one? Oh,
Jalapeno margarita. So yeah, I didn't go Ron Swanson on you there. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say on Riverwalk I had multiple spicy margaritas, and I love whiskey. I love me a Jameson, but a margarita, especially in the South, just always hits different than an old fashioned.
Yeah, you guys know it's margarita for me. It's not even, let's not even question it. However, I've said, and these guys know this, nothing would make me happier than if I was capable of wearing like a baller suit after a hard day's work and just cracking back an old fashioned or a scotch. But I take it like a complete wuss and my whole face goes when I drink whiskey. So I need my fruity cocktails.
Raise your hand if you're surprised by that.
Nobody. No one. And no one's surprised that this episode was phenomenal because it was fun with you guys. And that does bring us to the end of the Quick Hit Questions and brings us to the end of this episode of the FCS Fans Nation podcast. Final words as we roll into a very, very important out-of-conference week. Kyler, we didn't have you last week. Final thoughts, my man.
Man, it just feels good to watch some football again. This is the best time of the year, so embrace it because starting January 8th, life starts to get pretty crappy for another, 8 to 10 months. So embrace these next few months, even if your team sucks like mine. Football is back, and it's the best time of the year. It's the best holiday.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Enjoy it. We'll catch you guys next week. Boom.